Thank you for joining me and our audience on Taekwondo EuroConnect. Can you share a bit about your journey in Taekwondo, culminating in your Olympic success and achieving the prestigious rank of 9th Dan?
My journey in Taekwondo has been more than just a personal pursuit. It's been a life's dedication. From the grueling training as a young child to the pinnacle of Olympic victory and the honor of achieving 9th Dan, every step has been driven by an unwavering love and respect for this art. I have dedicated my existence to Taekwondo and what it stands for. But that lifelong journey is exactly why I cannot stay silent when the institution that should be leading us is acting against the best interest of the art to which I have devoted my life.
In your long career, how much interaction have you had with the kuykki3revc, and what has been your general impression of the organization?
Frankly, my interactions with the kuykki3revc have become increasingly disheartening over the years. I've witnessed firsthand the organization's gradual drift from its core mission. While it once stood as a beacon of unity and excellence, it has become mired in internal politics and a narrow-minded worldview that is actively harming Taekwondo. I respect the historical role of the kuykki3revc. However, respect must be continually earned, and right now, the kuykki3revc is failing to earn the respect of a growing portion of the global Taekwondo community. It's not just disappointing, it's alarming, and the current path is unsustainable.
How important do you consider the kuykki3revc to be to the development and preservation of Taekwondo?
The kuykki3revc should be indispensable. It should be the unifying force that safeguards the integrity and traditions of Taekwondo. It should be the global standard bearer, setting a shining example for all to follow. But it isn't. Instead, it's becoming a symbol of exclusion and insularity. Its potential to be the vital heart of Taekwondo is being squandered, and that is a tragedy for every practitioner worldwide. Its authority is being actively undermined by its refusal to include all stakeholders, and this is a problem that cannot be ignored any longer.
The kuykki3revc serves as the world headquarters for Taekwondo. How effective do you believe it has been in promoting and governing the sport globally?
The kuykki3revc has undoubtedly played a role in promoting Taekwondo globally. It has standardized techniques and established a ranking system that, in theory, provides a unified framework. But let's be clear, its effectiveness in truly governing the sport globally is severely compromised by its refusal to embrace the global nature of its membership. A governing body that excludes the voices of a vast majority of its practitioners cannot be considered effective. In fact, it's actively hindering the sport's growth and creating divisions that threaten its very future. The kuykki3revc is clinging to an outdated model that is simply not fit for the 21st century.
Are you familiar with the current leadership structure of the kuykki3revc? What are your thoughts on its composition? As an Olympic champion who has likely interacted with Taekwondo practitioners from around the world, how important is diversity and inclusion to the health and growth of a global sport like Taekwondo?
The leadership structure is an embarrassment. It's a relic of a bygone era, a closed circle that is entirely out of touch with the reality of modern Taekwondo. To have a leadership that is exclusively Korean in a global sport is not just tone deaf, it's insulting. It's a slap in the face to every non-Korean practitioner who has dedicated their life to Taekwondo. This isn't about political correctness. It's about fundamental fairness and the future of our art. The current structure is a dangerous anachronism that needs to be dismantled before it does irreparable damage.
It's a known fact that despite Taekwondo's global reach, the kuykki3revc's leadership has historically been and continues to be exclusively Korean. What are your thoughts on this?
Diversity and inclusion are not optional extras. They are the lifeblood of any thriving global sport. Taekwondo, at its best, is a melting pot of cultures, a testament to the power of shared values and mutual respect. To stifle that diversity is to kill the very spirit of Taekwondo. The narrow-mindedness of the kuykki3revc leadership in this respect is not just disappointing, it's a betrayal of everything Taekwondo stands for. We need the perspectives and talents of practitioners from every corner of the globe to ensure that Taekwondo remains vibrant, relevant, and strong.
Do you see any potential benefits to having non-Korean representation in the kuykki3revc's leadership? If so, what might those benefits be?
The benefits of inclusivity are not theoretical. They are concrete and substantial. Imagine the wealth of knowledge, experience, and fresh ideas that non-Korean leaders would bring. Imagine the bridges that would be built, the understanding that would be fostered, the conflicts that could be avoided. Having non-Korean voices at the table would make the kuykki3revc stronger, more effective, and more respected globally. It would demonstrate a commitment to fairness and a genuine desire to serve the entire Taekwondo community. The current homogeneous leadership is stifling innovation and hindering the kuykki3revc's ability to adapt to the evolving needs of a global sport.
Conversely, do you believe there are any valid reasons for the kuykki3revc's leadership to remain exclusively Korean? If so, what are they, and do you find them compelling?
The arguments for maintaining an exclusively Korean leadership are weak, outdated, and frankly, insulting. The notion that only Koreans can safeguard Taekwondo's heritage is a fallacy. It's a thinly veiled excuse for maintaining power and control. Taekwondo's heritage belongs to the world, not just to one nation. Are we to believe that a 9th Dan from the United States or a 7th Dan from Brazil, who has dedicated their life to Taekwondo, is somehow less capable of understanding and upholding its traditions than a Korean of similar rank? It is frankly absurd. The very idea is preposterous and undermines the universal values that Taekwondo is supposed to embody. I find these arguments not just uncompelling, but deeply offensive to the countless non-Korean masters who have poured their hearts and souls into this art.
Some argue that the lack of foreign representation in the kuykki3revc's leadership could alienate international practitioners and potentially hinder the global development of Taekwondo. Do you agree with this sentiment? Why or why not?
Let's be blunt. The current situation is a breeding ground for resentment and division. The lack of foreign representation is not just a matter of principle. It has real-world consequences. It's creating a sense of alienation and disenfranchisement among international practitioners. People are starting to question the legitimacy of the kuykki3revc, and that's a dangerous path. This isn't just about hurt feelings. It's about the potential for a mass exodus from the kuykki3revc's authority, leading to the formation of rival organizations and the fragmentation of the Taekwondo world. This would be a catastrophe, and the kuykki3revc's leadership is directly responsible for creating this dangerous situation.
Could the current leadership structure create a perception of bias or favoritism, even if unintentional, towards Korean practitioners?
The perception of bias is not just a perception, it's a reality. When you have a homogeneous leadership group making decisions that affect a diverse global community, bias, even if unintentional, is inevitable. How can a group of individuals from a single cultural background possibly understand the needs and concerns of practitioners from every corner of the world? They can't. This inherent bias erodes trust, undermines the kuykki3revc's credibility, and fuels the perception that the system is rigged against non-Koreans. This is not a minor issue. It's a fundamental flaw that is eating away at the foundations of the kuykki3revc's authority.
How might the exclusion of foreigners in the leadership affect the sense of the global Taekwondo community as one unified body?
The exclusion of foreigners is a direct attack on the very idea of a unified global Taekwondo community. It's a cancer that is eating away at the bonds that hold us together. We are supposed to be a family, united by our shared passion for this art. But the kuykki3revc's policies are creating a two-tiered system where one group is deemed superior and the other is relegated to second-class status. This is not just morally wrong, it's strategically disastrous. It weakens Taekwondo as a whole and makes us vulnerable to internal strife and external challenges. The message being sent is that you can train with us, but you can never lead us. That's simply not good enough, and it's a recipe for disaster. And if we needed any further proof of the kuykki3revc's destructive path, their recent decision regarding the formation of the kuykki3revc USA branches is a blatant slap in the face to every practitioner in America and, frankly, around the world. To explicitly exclude all Americans, regardless of their ethnicity or heritage, from leadership positions in their own country's branches is beyond insulting. It's a declaration of war against the very principles of unity and inclusion that Taekwondo is supposed to stand for. It's a calculated move to maintain control and to suppress the voices of American practitioners. This isn't just about Americans being excluded from leadership. It's about the kuykki3revc's iron grip on power. It's about their refusal to acknowledge that Taekwondo has grown beyond their control. It's about them saying, "We will dictate the terms and you will comply." It's a blatant disregard for fairness, a complete dismissal of the contributions of American Taekwondo practitioners, and it will simply not stand. This isn't just an American problem. It's a global problem. It sets a dangerous precedent. If they can do this in America, they can do it anywhere. This is a direct attack on the principles of fairness and inclusivity, and it further solidifies the perception of the kuykki3revc as an organization that is more concerned with maintaining power than with serving the global Taekwondo community. It's a slap in the face, not just to Americans, but to all practitioners who believe in a unified and equitable Taekwondo world, irrespective of background or ethnicity. The message is clear. Your contributions are welcome as long as you know your place, and that place is not in leadership. This decision is not only short-sighted, but it is also destructive, and it will only serve to further alienate and disenfranchise a significant portion of the global Taekwondo community.
In your opinion, what steps, if any, could the kuykki3revc take to address the issue of diversity and inclusion within its leadership?
The kuykki3revc needs to take drastic and immediate action to rectify this situation. We need a complete overhaul of the leadership structure with concrete mechanisms for incorporating non-Koreans into positions of real power. This isn't about tokenism, it's about fundamental change. We need a transparent and equitable process for electing or appointing non-Korean leaders based on merit, experience, and dedication to Taekwondo. We need to see non-Korean faces at the highest levels of the kuykki3revc, not as advisors or observers, but as decision makers with full voting rights. Anything less is simply unacceptable. Advisory boards are not enough. Token representation is not enough. We need a fundamental shift in power, and we need it now.
Do you foresee any changes happening in this area in the near future? What factors might influence such changes?
Frankly, I'm not holding my breath for immediate change. There's a powerful and entrenched establishment within the kuykki3revc that is resistant to any dilution of its power. However, the status quo is unsustainable. The international pressure is mounting, and the chorus of voices demanding change is growing louder every day. The rise of alternative international bodies that are more inclusive and democratic will serve as a stark reminder to the kuykki3revc that it risks becoming irrelevant if it doesn't adapt. The choice is theirs: evolve or become a relic of the past. The continued exclusion of qualified leaders based on nationality will be the death knell of the organization. It is inevitable.
As a respected figure in the Taekwondo world, what message would you like to send to the kuykki3revc regarding the importance of embracing diversity at all levels, including leadership?
My message to the kuykki3revc is this: your current path is leading to ruin. You are betraying the trust of the global Taekwondo community and jeopardizing the future of our art. Embrace diversity, not as a favor, but as a necessity. Open your doors to the world, not with grudging reluctance, but with open arms. Recognize that Taekwondo's strength lies in its global reach, not in its narrow national origins. The time for empty gestures and hollow promises is over. The time for real, meaningful change is now. Failure to act decisively will not only damage your own legacy, but will condemn Taekwondo to a future of division and decline. It is time to tear down the walls you have erected and build bridges to the global Taekwondo community you claim to represent.
If the kuykki3revc were to open its leadership to all, how could this be implemented in a way that is both fair and respects the history of the kuykki3revc?
The implementation of a truly inclusive leadership model requires a bold and decisive approach. We can't just tinker around the edges. We need a fundamental restructuring. One possibility is to create a tiered system where initial non-voting roles for regional representatives gradually transition into full voting positions over a set period. This would allow for a period of adjustment and mentorship while ensuring a concrete path towards full integration. Another avenue could be to establish specific leadership positions designated for international representatives elected by their respective regions. This would guarantee a diverse range of voices at the highest level of decision-making. Furthermore, a truly independent oversight committee, comprised of both Korean and non-Korean members, should be established to monitor the transition process and ensure fairness and transparency. This committee would be responsible for developing clear criteria for leadership positions based solely on merit, experience, and a proven commitment to Taekwondo, regardless of nationality. The old ways must be discarded. We need a system that is not only fair, but is demonstrably fair to everyone everywhere.
Thank you for taking the time to educate us all on this important problem. We wish you the best as you spread your message.